Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Bleach 5e update. It has been a few months since the previous update, and I have to say, this new schedule definitely feels a lot better for me. I was able to work on a lot of stat blocks, got to put a lot of time and effort into the bounce and dolls, which we're going to go over for today's update, and really helped me work on some other content that still isn't ready yet. But I'm hoping to get a lot of those done, which I'll go over later on in the video. But let's get right on to the changelog for this update here. So first up, we have adjusted focus armament feat for clarity, changed weapon form augments, renamed the weapon innate ability from Zanjutsu to Kenjutsu. That should be renamed and not changed. Removed the rage requirement from a Roncar Feral Instincts feature. Nodachi now has the Heaven Weapon property. New projectile form augment to assist with damage. Bounce and dolls have been added back to the book by popular request, and a new condition added partnered, which really is only relevant to the bounce currently. And of course, the new video, which is what you're watching now. So that's the changelog. Doesn't look like a lot, but obviously the biggest update being the bounce and dolls. That is a huge part of this video, as we're going to go through all of that. So let's get right on to the changes. But before we move on, of course, I do have to mention the YouTube channel. If you could please subscribe, that would help me out so much in getting the book out there to more people, getting, just getting this more popular, because I would love to get more people to, be looking at this book, and that would just greatly appreciate me. Help out the algorithm with the subscribe, liking the video, commenting below also with that engagement. That would be very helpful. I would greatly appreciate if you could do that for me. And if you do want to contribute even further, I do have a Patreon. Right here, we have a lot of tiers at every price point for everybody that at your different kind of income levels. A lot of great benefits. Biggest thing, if you can look over here to the collections, you get hollow stat blocks. Now, soon enough, starting from this week, I think I have enough ready to go. I probably need more. But I have stat blocks for hollows, and then for shinigamis, and then soon I'm going to have some for the Quincy, Fullbringers, and then Bounce. There are going to be more stat blocks for their DMs to use, for monsters, or for, players to use as kind of a inspiration to create some characters maybe. But that's what I have here, some benefits. And of course, there are some other benefits you can read as you take a look at the Patreon there. And of course, up on the screen are those that are the current patrons. I want to thank them so much. Thank you guys so much for helping me out and contributing so much to the channel through Patreon. And of course, you don't need to. Just liking and subscribing the video is good enough. But with all that said, thank you all so much, and let's get on with the updates. Okay, next we have Focus Armament Feat. So now it reads, you cannot gain multiple armament types. If you're able to choose armament abilities from multiple types, you can only choose from one type. You can still choose armament abilities from generic as normal. Additionally, whenever an armament or class feature would grant you an armament ability, you can forego it for 2 augments instead. Hopefully this wording is a little bit more clear. And of course, I needed to add the, you can still choose armament abilities from generic. Needed to add that, obviously, just to get some more clarity, as I got some people that were confused about that. But I got that added in. Not too many extra words to get that added, and there's enough room on the page for it. So that's the new focused armament ability. I do have the old one right above my head, just so you guys can compare the two and how different they were. Not too much in difference, but I figured I should change up the wording a little bit just to help out with some clarity. So hopefully that's clear enough. If there's any other questions you have, put them down in the comments below, and I'll be able to answer that for you. But let's move on to the next update. Alrighty, so as you can see here, this is the new weapon form, and its augments right above my head is going to be the old ones. I changed it up, so before, as you can see, the ability requires no longer verbal or somatic components. That's still there. And then this ability no longer requires the weapon component. I feel like that's kind of weird for this weapon ability to have that kind of augment. So I just got rid of that really and changed it to when you release, you may activate this ability as a reaction. Really, that's basically the only big difference. Just because that augment just didn't feel like it made sense for this weapon ability to have. Because you have to be released, but you don't need that to do that. So it's really weird. So I just got rid of that and changed it to that. So hopefully that's not too much of a difference, really. But I did want to mention that. Alrighty, so the next one we have is the weapon armament innate ability. This used to be Zanjutsu, but now I changed it to Kenjutsu. Just so there's a lot less same names used within the book. Some people were getting confused with Zanjutsu with the Zanjutsu from Shinigami. So just in case, I want to change the word, I can just change it to another name to hopefully not cause any confusion. So that got renamed. Hopefully no more people get confused with that. If there's any other names that are too similar that I should change, let me know in the comments below. I'll look at them and I'll see if I can change the names if there are something like this with other abilities or stuff that probably shouldn't be the same name. Let me know if you have spotted any. I'll be able to go through that. Next up is Feral Instinct. Now, as you can see, right above my head is the old wording, which included that you basically have to be like in rage. So that was just like previous wording from where I pulled this ability from. So in the new one, as you can see, that's gone. You don't have to rage because that's not a thing for it to be active. So I got rid of that. And let me know if there's anything else like that from old stuff that I have yet to update. I'm sure there are a few things randomly throughout the book. Like I think there's some stuff that's still referred to spell slots, and we're not using spell slots anymore. Obviously in the system, it's spell points. So I changed those that someone brought up to my attention. And I'm sure there are a few that haven't gotten changed. So I haven't got a good chance to go through another full audit of the book. But let me know if you spot any other things like this. I'll be able to go in and change them and remove them or update them to what currently we're using within the system. But yeah, as you can see, I got that changed, taken care of. You don't need to be raged to have this Feral Instinct. So got that fixed. But let's move on to the next one. Next up is the Nodachi getting the heavy weapon property. Now, I know this might seem like a nerf, right away. Well, technically, it is a nerf. However, it is a nerf that had to be done because there are some abilities and feats that don't work with the Nodachi that I wanted them to work with that apparently didn't work. Like the Great Weapon Master feat, I believe it was. It only is active when you're using a weapon with the heavy property. And the Nodachi didn't have it, which is, I wanted that to be able people to use that feat with it. So I unfortunately have to add the heavy weapon property to Nodachi. So I do have to kind of nerf it, but then open it up to be used with other stuff. And other feats and other things that require like Great Weapon Master or whatever. So that's basically the reason why, just so it works with other feats and abilities and stuff. That's why it got added to it. So that's why it's added on there. I know for the most part, it really won't make a huge difference overall for most builds and people. So in that respect, it is a buff. So that's really why I wanted people to know why that got added on there. And so people are aware of it. So then they can, if their GMs obviously allow it, they can, change up their feet so that they know this works with other stuff, that they would have picked it knowing that this would have worked with it previously. So hopefully that your GMs are nice enough to allow you to do that. So that's why that got added on there. And that's basically it for the Nodachi. So let's move on over to the next one. Alrighty, next up is the projectile form augment to help with damage. So I was very skeptical in trying to give projectile form more damage augments or extra damage, just because I have seen it do really well. Normally when someone goes projectile form and weapon form, that right there is a strong combo. However, I've gotten some feedback on it, and people have let me know if they're trying to go projectile form and something else, it does lack damage in mid to late game and just doesn't quite get there enough. So with that in mind, I will add an augment to it, though I know this will probably make projectile weapon even stronger. But because most It's really easy to get really good deck saves and like evasion within this book. I'm hoping it won't be that big of an issue. So people that are currently playing it that aren't doing projectile weapon form, if you're doing projectile and something else, let me know how much more this helps you out. And if there's anybody doing projectile weapon, let me know if this is doing even more damage. So whether it's a GM or a player, I'd like to hear about it. I am keeping an eye on this because I would not like projectile form to be that much stronger. So let's look at the augment that I gave it. The augment is right here. There you go. While in projectile form, your armament deals an additional dice of damage, max 3 additional dice. Requires 3 augments. So what that means is depending on which weapon you choose, like say regular regular katana, if you're like Shinigami, it's gonna, when you take this augment, it's gonna be 2d6. You pick it up again, it'll be 3d6. Pick it up again, it'll be 4d6 while you're in projectile form. Just so I want to make sure that it's staying in this form and you're not getting this damage buff anywhere else. And I wanted to give it, requires 3 augments just so you're picking it up mid-game and then it continues to kind of scale and keep up with damage as you get to the late game. If I need to do more, let me know. If I need to do less, let me know. I would like to hear what people's thoughts are on it, but I did want to add that to help out a little bit more with damage and also to maybe for some that want to go, full on just projectile form and don't want to do a secondary ability, this will also help that out. So you're not forced to go projectile form and then fire form and have to pick up the fire damaging augments to help out with this. And this will hopefully allow people to just go in single full on projectile form as like maybe focus armament. So hopefully that helps out. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know if it's not enough, like I said, or let me know if it's too much. I would love to hear people's thoughts about it. Maybe I need to put, requires 4 augments. Maybe it's this extra damage is too early. I'd like to hear about it in the comments below. Please let me know. So let's move on over to the final big update. Okay, finally, what everyone's been waiting for and asking, BOUNTS are back. So of course they have their sub-race, so they are a human sub-race. They have their respective class, and then they have their own armament called the doll. So we're gonna go, we're gonna go through each of these, and this is probably the longest part of the video. So right away, let's get into the bound for the racial features. Right here we have the fluff. Most of it is just pulled from the wiki. I didn't really want to go too much into it right now, just because I don't know how much I want to put into it. Where I expect people to be playing their Bleach campaign in the setting, so I didn't want to put in too much information. So I just have really here what basic stuff about them for the fluff. But let's go into their racial abilities. Ability score increase. Your Constitution score increases by 1. Bite. Your Feigned Bite is a natural weapon, which counts as a simple melee weapon with which you are proficient. You can add your Constitution modifier instead of your Strength modifier to the attack and damage rolls when you attack with this bite. It deals 1 in 4 piercing damage on a hit. Immortality. You do not suffer from the frailty of old age, cannot die of old age, and do not need food or water as long as each week you consume a number of souls equal to the number of hit die you possess. So pretty similar to the hollows and sustenance from souls, and this really plays into the whole theme since BOUNTS really are vampire-like in base, and as from the lore of the BOUNTS from within the filler arc, is they are what sparked the myths and legends of the vampires, since they have this ability to feed off of souls to sustain their immortality. So I really try to keep in line and try to do as much vampire-like kind of abilities, but it's really hard to do that without it kind of feeling out of place. Which we'll go over when we get to the class, the subclasses and all that information. Next up is soul absorption. You have the ability to consume the soul from a creature that is grappled by you, incapacitated, or restrained. Make a melee bite attack against a target. On a success, the target is drained by the amount of damage taken, and you regain hit points equal to that amount of damage. The drain lasts until the target finishes a long rest. A creature slain this way has its soul consumed, removing them from the reincarnation cycle. Big deal. Empowerment. If you would consume the soul of a creature with hit die equal to or greater than yours, you gain a cumulative +1 bonus on all ability checks until you finish a long rest, and your spell point maximum permanently increases by 2. If a creature is slain with your soul absorption ability, and its hit die is double your hit die or more, you choose one of the following. One ability score increases by 2, or you gain a feat. Big thing. So I really wanted to have that ability where you're absorbing souls and you are slowly getting stronger. Not as strong in skill as hard as like a hollow wood, but you are getting stronger from all those souls you are absorbing. And then of course we have spiritual awareness. Bounce can see and to interact with the ethereal plane. Classic stuff. So that's currently the race benefits, the racial features of a bounce. Next on, we're moving on to the class. Okay, so here we have the class table. I'll give you guys a moment to give it a look, review it, see what it has to offer, and let me know what you think about it. So right away, the SP they get starting out is 4, and then they go all the way up to a maximum of 50. Base max spell level, they start getting spellcasting at 2nd level, and then starting at 1st level, and they cap out at 7th level, starting from level 19. And then of course the regular proficiency bonus, and then we have Bounce Crest, got Archetype, ability score improvement, ratio absorption, and same old things. Most of the stuff is going to be really on the Bounce Archetype. So let's go on to the class features. Their hit die is a 1d10 plus your con. It's normal stuff there. Biggest thing is your hit die is a 1d10 as a bounce. Proficiencies, light armor, simple weapons, one tool of your choice. Saving throws is Constitution. Skills, choose 3 of your choice. Equipment, you start the following equipment: Explorer's Pack or Scholar's Pack, and then 1 gaming set or 1 musical instrument. Next up is Bounce Crest. You gain a armament known as a doll. Your doll is sealed within a mundane object of your choice, such as a large metal marble, bottle cap, a jewel, or a deck of cards. Ability score improvement, not going to go over that, you guys know that. Next up is ratio absorption. Now, we know that the bounce are able to manipulate reishi at a very minor level, and it's only ever a big deal when they are somewhere with a high density of reishi. And that is what I have here to really match that into. I try to really put on here what we've seen the bounce do and kind of extrapolate from that of what they potentially could do more with their reishi manipulation ability. So let's see what we got here. You manipulate the reishi in the ambient air to create minor effects. However, while in reishi dense area, you create the major version of these effects. As an action, you can spend 4 SP to create one of the following effects. Invigorate. Minor. You gain temporary hit points equal to your level. Major. You regain HP equal to your bounce level plus your constitution modifier plus your proficiency bonus. Mend. Minor. You instantly clean an object or clothing no larger than 1 cubic foot. Major, you completely repair an outfit or a single break or tear in an object you touch as long as the break or tear is no larger than 1 foot in any dimension. You mend it, leaving no trace of the former damage. This can physically repair a magic item or construct, but can't restore magic to such an object. Next up is Enhancement. Minor, you gain a bonus to all attack rolls, saving throws, or skill checks equal to your proficiency bonus for the next minute. Major, you have advantage on all attack rolls, saving throws, or skill checks for the next minute. Celerity. Your walking speed increases by 10 feet and you ignore difficult terrain. Major. Your walking speed is doubled for the next minute. And it should also read, you still ignore difficult terrain, so I need to change that. But that's basically what it is. So right away, we're getting into the bounce archetypes. So the archetypes we have is Cavalier. We have Wushu Warrior. And Spell Thief. Spell Striker. And the Siren. Yep, yeah, that's all we have. Those are the current ones we have. I'll go over each one at a time. So let me go back up to Cavalier. So Cavalier excels at mounted combat, usually born among nobility and raised at court. A Cavalier is known for either leading a cavalry charge, organizing their allies in battle, guarding those in their charge from harm, or equally fighting on the battlefield side by side with their mount. So this was obviously a no-brainer for the bounce to have as a subclass, since they have like a doll. We really only seen it from, God, what's his name that rides his mounts from the bounce? His name was Sawatari. Sawatari. I'm so American. I'll put a little picture of him somewhere up above me, maybe for you guys to get a reminder if you don't know. Really, he's the only one we've seen him like kind of really ride the mount and like, use that. So that's basically what this class really was based off of. And also just because I know there was like the Cavalier class from 5th edition, it's really lackluster, honestly, for a class that's supposed to revolve around mounted combat. So that's kind of weird, really. So I think this is a much better version, in my humble opinion, a better version of the Cavalier as well. This easily can be used as a regular like vanilla D&D class as well. So that's honestly what I'm going to work on and post it just for other people to use if you're playing some other vanilla D&D campaign, and just to have it out there. I think it's pretty good outside of Bleach as well. But I really wanted to use it in here, and it was perfect opportunity for the bounce. So before we move on, I need to go over the new condition, which really ties in with this specific subclass. So let me move on up to that. Right here, we have partnered. So if you are mounted and that mount is your summon, you are partnered. That's basically it. And certain abilities are only active or care if you are partnered. So I really want to make sure people are aware of this new condition. Partnered is just that. So let's go back to Cavalier and go through its abilities. Okay, so starting from second level, you gain the following benefits. You gain proficiency with animal handling. If your mount is your summon, it is considered to be trained. You have advantage on saving throws made to avoid falling off your mount. If you fall off your mount and descend no more than 10 feet, you can land on your feet and you're not incapacitated. Mounting or dismounting costs you only 5 feet of movement rather than half your speed. I do want to make people aware that a lot of people don't know how mounted combat works, which I don't blame them, because not a lot of people do mounted combat. It rarely comes up. At least it has for me in the past, like, man, 10 years that I've been playing D&D. It rarely comes up that we really need to like care about mounted combat. So I would suggest giving that a read. I'll probably have it above my head, maybe a page where in the Dungeons Master Guide you can find that, or maybe a link below to like the basic rules or like maybe an excerpt if I can fit it above my head to really show you what the normal rules for mounted combat are, just so people are aware of when they try to get into this class, you are playing it correctly. So let's go on to the features of it. Cavalry style. At second level, you choose a cavalry style. This choice is permanent and grants you additional features at later levels. So the different styles are Standard Bearer, Knight, Lancer, and Marauder. So let's go through them one at a time. Standard Bearer. If you have the Summon Armament ability, you gain the Retain Blade Augment. While release, your armament takes the form of a banner with a crest or sigil of your choosing. The weapon statistics and or properties don't change. It just looks like a banner for flavor. While partnered, this is where it comes into play, the new condition, you have access to the Inspiring Leader feat and can perform the speech as an action instead of spending 10 minutes. Additionally, those creatures also gain a bonus to their saving throws equal to your charisma modifier. I'm going to start using some shorthand for like the ability scores and modifier. Excuse me, just to save some space. Let me know what you guys think about it, or if it's better for me to just spell it all out. But here and there, you'll see me trying out some shorthand for that. Next up is Knight. If you have the Summon Armament ability, you gain the Retain Blade Augment. While released, your armament takes the form and statistics of any slashing weapon lacking the two-handed weapon property, but you use your armament damage instead. While partnered, you and your summon gain the Slasher feat. Next up is Lancer. If you have the Summon Armament ability, you gain the Retain Blade Augments. Same thing, while released, your armament takes the form and statistics of a lance, but you use your armament damage instead. While partnered, you and your summon gain the Piercer feat. Marauder. If you have the Summon Armament ability, same thing, Retain Blade. While released, your armament takes the form and statistics of any bludgeoning weapon lacking the two-handed weapon property, but you use your armament damage instead. And then while partnered, you and your summon gain the Crusher feat. So right away, you can already tell the kind of playstyle we're putting into this. I really wanted to focus on this, that you are picking a summon and you are using it as a mount. That's what this whole class is about. That's why it rewards you for doing so. Because most of the things revolve around that. So obviously it needs to tell you to do that. So that's currently where we're at. Those are the different styles, as you can see where it's leading off to be, and the different styles and flavor it's giving for each one. So let's continue on to, at 6th level, you get Cavalry Stance. So Standard Bearers get, while partnered, creatures affected by your Inspiring Leech cannot be frightened or charmed for an hour. Knights, while partnered, you can use any of your control mount's normal actions. So as per the rules, when you're controlling your mount, you're using your actions and you don't really use any of it. But as a knight, you can use your controlled mount's action. So Obviously, you'll spend an action and your mount will do whatever action it has. It's not really you doing it, but your mount. So you just have access to those actions. Lancer, while partnered, you or your mount don't provoke attacks of opportunity when moving out of an enemy's reach. This really is going to help out Lancer with a lot of their charging in and out of abilities to not provoke attacks of opportunity all the time. So that really helps them out with that. Next up is Marauder. While partnered, you and your mount ignore any movement speed penalties from difficult terrain. Additionally, while unmounted, whenever your mount moves past you, you can mount it, no action required. So the Marauder really has this style that I want to do where you're like mounting, dismounting, and you're like, working side by side in tandem with your summon. And you can, just randomly jump on it, do the damage, jump off it, do stuff, which you'll see later on. But that's right away I want to be rewarding that you can be hopping off and on your mount. That's really the only cavalry style from the Cavalier where it's, rewarding you for doing that. Next up, at 10th level, we have Mounted Tactics. So standard bearers get hold the line, while partnered, creatures provoke an opportunity attack from you when they move 5 feet or more while within your reach. And if you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, the target speed is reduced to 0 until the end of the current turn. If you have the Sentinel feat, whenever you make an opportunity attack, you can spend 2 SP to gain advantage on it. So as you can see, it's kind of like a baby Sentinel feat. However, the difference here, which most people I'm sure won't understand right away, is while creatures provoke an opportunity attack from you when they move 5 feet or more while within your reach. That doesn't mean when they leave your reach. Normally, when a creature leaves your reach, it provokes an opportunity attack. This is when they move within it. It will provoke an opportunity attack. So keep that in mind. So if someone's right next to you, they move 5 feet over to like try to give an ally advantage. Well, they move 5 feet within your reach, opportunity attack. And of course, it's normal if they leave your reach, opportunity attack. And then since it is like a baby, this is something I would like doing, and I've mentioned it before. When certain abilities have like little smaller versions of an existing feature or feat, like this right here, if the creature moves out of reach and you hit them, their speed is reduced to 0. That's kind of the Sentinel, but like this is a worse version of Sentinel. So I want to be able to reward people when they do pick up the Sentinel feat, because there are parts of the Sentinel feat you don't normally get. So if you do have it, whenever you make an opportunity attack, spend 2 SP, you have advantage on that opportunity attack to really reward people and for it to not feel bad. So like, oh, if I have this and Sentinel, it's kind of like the same thing. This is kind of, hold the line then becomes dead because Sentinel's just way better. So I really want to, remove that feels bad and just make it more rewarding to take a Sentinel feat or something else that stacks with it or similar to it, and they kind of get better when they're together. So that's for the standard bearer. Next, we have Knights. They get challenge. While partnered, when you hit a creature with an armament attack, you can spend 4 SP to mark that creature until the end of your next turn. This effect ends early if you're incapacitated, or you die, or if someone else marks the creature. While it is within 5 feet of you, a creature marked by you has disadvantage on attack rolls that don't target you. In addition, if a creature marked by you deals damage to anyone other than you, you can make a special melee armament attack against the marked creature as a bonus action on your next turn. If the attack hits, it deals extra damage equal to half your bounce level. Now, this is something I know I forgot where I pulled this from or got this inspiration from, had this ability, but there was a lot of stipulations to it that I kind of wanted to get rid of, since you're having to spend 4 SP each time. It is quite SP intensive. So I do want to be able to, I remove a lot of those caveats. I know sometimes some similar abilities like require concentration. I didn't feel like I wanted it to have, I didn't want to give it concentration just because I wanted to make it that much more stronger. So let me know what you guys think about challenge. But that's what they get for Knight. And let's go over to Lancer. They get charge. While partnered as an action, you can spend 4 SP to move up to 30 feet and then immediately make a single armament attack against a creature within range. If you move 20 feet or more, you have advantage on the attack roll. Obviously, pretty simple with charge. That's something that you just do. Just so you know, this is additional movement speed. So this is whole part of the action. Like you move up 30 feet and then you make your action. So you can still use your normal movement 30 feet, activate charge, move another 30 feet, then do your thing. So this, I really wanted to make it a point to point that out. Lancers are all about movement. You are doing a lot of movement-based stuff. You get a lot of free movement with some of the actions that it does. to really show that you are charging in and out, you are going in and out of the fray, you are battling, constantly leaving, range, constantly entering and being, that kind of, to really be in line with that flavor of the Lancer, charging in and out of battle. So that's what they get. Next up is Marauder with Feral Dismount. While partnered, if you moved at least 20 feet, as a bonus action, you can spend 4 SP to dismount and make a single melee armament attack against a creature within range with advantage. Additionally, you no longer need to be partnered to gain the benefits of your Crusher feat. So this is something you can do where you move up 30 feet, bonus action, jump off, make your attack, action, continue your attacks, to really, like I said, go into where you are attacking, mounting, dismounting with your mount. So that's what we have for Marauder. Next up, we have a 14th level Mounted Maneuver. Standard bearers get into the fray. As an action, you can spend 10 SP to have all creatures affected by your inspiring speech that can see and hear you to move up to 30 feet and make a single melee attack against a creature they can reach. This can do potential big damage. So if you have, like, normally a party size is like 5 or 4, so say that it's 5, and you have 4 party members, they're all under the effects of your inspiring speech. Action, 10 SP, all 4 of them can move up and make an attack. So a lot of damage, a lot of support, but also because there's a lot of support classes that do stuff that just don't do damage, and a lot of people don't want to pick them up. So I really want to make a very strong ability with your inspiring speech to really help dish out some damage. So that's into the fray for Standard Bearer. Next, we have Knights. They get Gallant Slash. While partnered, as an action, you can spend 6 SP to choose up to 3 targets adjacent to you. Each of those targets must be adjacent to at least one other target. The chosen targets take 46 slashing damage. So this is like, if it's really hard to like word it, where it's really if there are 3 people right next to each other, 3 people in a line in a row. But this just helps out with that to make it easier. So that's what you get for Gallant Slash. And I know there's no attack roll to it. It's just they just straight up take free. They just take 46 slash damage as long as you spend the SP to do so. So I really wanted to give some extra damage to them. This is really to help out the mounted characters when they are surrounded by multiple foes. This is just to help with that, to deal some damage, to really disincentivize those foes from really bundling up next to you and trying to surround you. That's what really these abilities are for. Next up, the Lancer, Penetrating Lance. While partnered, as an action, you can spend 8 SP to move up to 30 feet and lunge your lance. Each creature in a line that is 5 foot wide and 50 foot long originating from you takes 48 piercing damage. Obviously, it's a line attack since it is a Lancer, so you just move up, lunge it with your lance, and then people in a 15-foot line are going to take 48 piercing damage. Like I said, same thing with like with the Knights. However, you can move up to it and you don't have to like move up at all. You can just move up to 30 feet that way. So if you're surrounded by people, you just don't move and then just, boom, 48 damage to 15 people in a line. Next up is Marauder. They get Hunting Pack. You and your summon gain the Pack Tactics ability. While not mounted, whenever you or your summon hits a creature, as a reaction, you can spend 6 SP and the other can move up to its speed toward the creature and make a single melee attack against it if the creature is within reach. So let's say you hit a creature, spend 6 SP, and then your mount will move up to 30 feet and then make an attack. Or if your mount makes an attack, you can spend 6 SP, and then you move up and then make an attack against that creature if you can reach it. This just really helps with that hunting pack tactic. And obviously with pack tactics, it makes it a little bit better to hopefully be able to get that triggered. So yeah, that's what they get for Mounted Maneuvers. Next up, we get to 18th level ability, the Cavalry Master. Standard bearers get Undying Devotion. In combat, the first time a creature affected by your inspiring leader feat would drop to 0 hit points as a result of taking damage, they instead drop to 1 hit point. If the creature is subjected to an effect that would kill it instantaneously without dealing damage, the effect is instead negated against them. They can't benefit from this feature again until they finish a long rest. Basically, they get a free death ward for all the people that are affected by your inspiring speech. A pretty big thing just to help out with your allies, some more support kind of things, but a little bit stronger. So I think this is a pretty good ability. Let me know what you guys think. Next up is Knights. they get Vigilant Defender. In combat, you get a special reaction that you can take once on every creature's turn except your turn. You can use this special reaction only to make an opportunity attack, and you can't use it on the same turn that you take your normal reaction. Since you have, like Sentinel and those kind of things, this just really helps with making more opportunity attacks and really getting in the fray. This helps, get into the fray, use your Gallant Slash, and then there's some, foes will be like, oh shit, they're going to want to leave. And this just helps you with provoking, doing some more opportunity attacks to be able to punish them for leaving. So this really helps the knight when they're really trying to get into foes, reward you for getting into the fray with a lot of foes, and then, rewarding them when they try to leave and stuff. Next up is Lancer. They get Valiant Charge. You charge through your foes with your lance. While partnered, as an action, you can spend 10 SP to move in a straight line up to your speed, moving past enemies. Each creature you pass through must make a dexterity saving throw. A creature takes 66 piercing damage on a failed save, is pushed 5 feet away from you, and falls prone, or half as much damage on a successful save, and the creature doesn't fall prone. This really helps. This is just really Lancer thing, where you just boom, charge right through some enemies, pushing them and throwing them, making them fall prone to the side and doing some damage to them. So that's what they get for 18th level. Let me know what you guys think, and then we're gonna move on over to finally Marauder. Marauder's Fury. When you take the attack action, if your summon is within 10 feet of you, as a bonus action, you can spend 10 SP and have your summon take the attack action. Pretty good thing. This is as a bonus action, your summon then takes the attack action. So like I said, really helps out with you tandem next side by side with your mount. This can potentially deal a lot of damage. So obviously it's 10 SP for it. And then obviously there's the requirement that they have to be fairly nearby to you to be able to take the attack action, because that could deal quite a bit of damage. So with all of that said, that is a Cavalier, the first Bounce archetype. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you are excited for this at all. What are your first initial thoughts about it? And yeah, put it in the comments below. So let's move on next to the Wushu Warrior. Now, this one is based off of the Bounce Yoshi that does a lot of very Wushu based, obviously, from when we see her battles and how she fights and her weapons. So let's go through them and let's read it right away. So this is now something I'm doing that a lot of people were kind of asking why I'm not doing, since it is kind of my book of doing my own lore and adding my own stuff to it. So I was thinking, you know what? Why don't I do that? And honestly, the way the Bounce became kind of the inspiration for for vampires, I'm you know what? Maybe I could do the same thing with Wushu. So let's look at the fluff that I have for them. Ages ago, to the far east, Bounce were being hunted and persecuted. A sect of their kind managed to flee and find refuge. These refugee Bounce sequestered themselves in the mountain, where they honed their skills and tempered their desires in the crucible of self-discipline. Over centuries of isolation, they developed a unique martial tradition called Wushu. These Bounce recoiled from the darkness of their nature, seeking redemption through discipline and mastery of their bloodlust. What do you guys think about that? I have here that the Bounce, some sect of Bounce were able to run away, take refuge in mountains, and then they kind of became the Wushu monks. These very these warriors that kind of help with that kind of myth and legend of that. Let me know what you guys think about that. I think it's pretty good, but I'd like to hear your thoughts about it. So let's continue on for the Wushu Warrior. We got the Way of Wushu. Starting from 2nd level, while you're not wearing armor, you gain the following benefits. Unarmed defense, your AC equals 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your proficiency bonus. Unarmored movement, your speed is increased by 10 feet. At 10th level, you gain the ability to move along vertical surfaces and across liquids on your turn without falling during the move. Martial arts, your unarmed strikes deal 1d6 damage. Additionally, you can use dexterity instead of strength for the attack and damage rolls of your unarmed strikes. You learn a Wushu technique listed below. You learn an additional technique at 6th, 10th, 14th, 18th, and 20th level. Next up, we have Surging Steel at 6th level. When you take the attack action, your movement is doubled until the end of the turn, and you don't provoke opportunity attacks when leaving a creature's threatened range until the end of the turn. 10th level, Mystical Deflection. When you hit a creature with a melee armored attack, you have advantage on saving throws against Keto they cast until the end of your next turn. Wushu reflexes. Beginning at 14th level, creatures provoke opportunity attacks when they do any of the following. They enter your threat range. A creature within your reach activates an armament ability. A creature within your reach spends an action to use a class feature. This one is pretty big. I really like Wushu reflexes. This helps you, be more reactive. Next up, we have at 18th level, One with the Blade. You always roll your armament attacks with advantage. Let me reiterate that for those that probably don't understand. You always roll your armament attacks with advantage. Always. Pretty big deal. So let's move on over to the Wushu techniques. So as you can see from a lot of these names and a lot of these things, obviously it is kind of based off of the monk, but I really wanted it to be a lot of Wushu, incorporated with it. Because a monk is a lot of just generic good stuff, but not really Wushu based. Because, there's a lot of Wushu media, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of fighting, a lot of jumping, a lot of that kind of stuff. So I really wanted that to be a thing and then kind of, allow you to kind of like build your own monk kind of thing. So let's look at some of these Wushu techniques. Agile parry, prerequisite 6th level. If you make a melee armament attack as part of your attack action on your turn, you can use it to defend yourself. You gain a +2 bonus to AC until the start of your next turn, while the weapon is in your hand and you aren't incapacitated. Deft strike, prerequisite 6th level. When you hit a target with your armament, you can spend 3 SP to deal extra damage to the target equal to your dex modifier. You can use this feature only once on each of your turns. Deflect missiles, slightly different from what we see from the monks. I think it's slightly better. You can use your reaction to deflect or catch the missile when you're hit by a ranged weapon attack. When you do so, you can spend 1 SP any number of times. The damage you take from the attack is reduced by XD6 plus your dex mod plus your belt level. X is equal to the amount of times you spent SP. If you reduce the damage to 0, you catch the missile if it is small enough for you to hold in one hand, and you have at least one hand free. If you catch a missile this way, you can spend 1 SP to make a ranged attack with the weapon or piece of ammunition you just caught as part of the same reaction. You make the attack with proficiency and has a normal range of 20 feet and a long range of 60 feet. Most of it's the same thing, but it's really the damage reducing is what's changed in buff. Next up, we have Diamond Soul. At 14th level, you gain proficiency in all saving throws. Additionally, whenever you make a saving throw and fail, you can spend 2 SP to reroll it and take the second result. Empty Body, prerequisite 18th level. You can use your action to spend 5 SP to become invisible for 1 minute. During that time, you also have resistance to all damage, but force damage. Honestly, I think I should change it to accept. Additionally, you can spend 14 SP to cast the Astral Projection spell without needing material components. When you do so, you can't take any other creatures with you. Evasion, prerequisite 8th level. When you are subject to an effect that allows you to make a dex save, take only half. If you take only half, you succeed, no damage. Everyone knows what evasion does. Leap to your feet. When you are prone, you can stand up by spending 5 feet of movement rather than half your speed. Patient defense, 3 SP, take the dodge action as a bonus action. Perfect self, 20th level. You never roll saving throws or skill checks at disadvantage. Let me read that again. You never roll saving throws or skill checks at disadvantage. Big. Purity of Body, prerequisite 10th level. You're immune to disease and poison. Redirect attack. When a creature misses you with a melee attack, you can spend 1 SP as a reaction to cause the attack to hit one creature of your choice other than the attacker that you can see within 5 feet of you. Slow fall. You can use your reaction when you fall to reduce any falling damage you take by an amount equal to 5 times your bounce level. And unfortunately, I couldn't fit these last two, so we just have this big old page of empty space. I'm going to see if I can clean up some wording, reduce some wording down so I can fit these two, but honestly, I don't think I can because it's just like this thing here, just this format here just takes up so much space. So I'll see what I can do, but because I really hate just having this dead space here, and I don't really want to combine other stuff all in one. I might have to just to save space in the future, but if I can, I'll try to save up some space. The last two we have now is Stillness of Mind, prerequisite 10th level. You can use your action to spend 4 SP to end one of the following conditions on yourself: blinded, charmed, dazed, deafened, frightened, poisoned, shocked, haunted, or weakened. And then we have Step of the Wind. You can spend 2 SP to take the disengage or dash action as a bonus action on your turn, and your jump distance is doubled for the turn. So that's all we have for Wushu Warrior. Let me know what you guys think. I'm pretty proud of it. I pretty like where it's at. I'm pretty content of how it ended up. So you guys let me know what you think about it and if you are excited to play it at all. So let's move on over to the next one. Alrighty, next up we have Spell Thief. Now, Spell Thieves blend skill and arcane magic to drain their opponent's abilities and turn their foes' powers against them. They thrive on the challenges that adventure brings, relishing the opportunity to use their abilities in unique and inventive ways. With a versatile array of skills, Spell Thieves can adapt to nearly any situation, preferring subtlety. Spell Thieves never cast 2 spells when 1 will suffice, excelling in misdirection and deception to overcome stronger opponents. Let's go what we got. So cantrips. At first level, 2 cantrips are your choice from the human spell list. Spellcasting. The table below shows how many spell points you have, yada yada. Biggest thing is, let me see here. Where is it at? Right, spellcasting ability. Constitution is your spellcasting ability for your Keto. This is a Constitution spellcaster. Big deal. Something you don't see very often. But I think it was a pretty cool thing, especially for BOUNTS. So let's continue on. So this is probably one of like the biggest classes in like complexity, in my opinion. So I wouldn't be surprised if some people just have trouble kind of grasping a good way to play this class or just having trouble with it. So I would really give this class a good read through, especially with your GM to help get some clarification on the class. But yeah, this was an old 3.5 edition class that I thought was perfect opportunity to bring back and update it for 5th edition, and of course bring it in here for the BOUNTS. And it also just makes sense with their vampire-like ability, since they'll, you're stealing souls, you can stealing spells. So I thought it matched up flavorfully. So let's go on. Steal spell effect. Beginning at 2nd level, a spell thief can siphon an active spell effect from another creature. When you hit a creature with your bite, you can choose to forego dealing damage and instead spend 2 SP to gain the effect of a single effect affecting the target. If the target is willing, you can... Jesus, what I fucked the wording on here. If the target is willing, you can steal a spell effect as an action by touching them instead. You can choose which spell effect to steal. Otherwise, the GM determines the stolen spell effect randomly. If you try to steal a spell that isn't present, the stolen spell is determined randomly from among those currently in effect on the target. You can't steal a spell effect if the spell level exceeds your proficiency bonus plus your constitution modifier. It should read. Upon stealing a spell effect, you gain the stolen spell and the original creature loses the effect for 1 minute per proficiency bonus or until the spell's duration expires, whichever comes first. If the spell effect duration hasn't expired by this time, the spell effect returns to the creature that originally benefited from it. You can steal the effect of a spell only if the spell could be cast on yourself by the original caster. For example, you couldn't gain the effect of a Blade Ward spell since that spell's range area is self. If you try to steal the effect of a spell that can't be cast on your spell, the effect is still suppressed on the original target of the spell for 1 minute per proficiency bonus. So, as the example given, if someone has a Blade Ward on them and you try to steal it, it won't steal because it can't target you, and instead the spell effect is suppressed for up to 1 minute. So that's steal spell effect. Like I said, a big mouthful, quite a complex class. Subclass, so yeah, I'll give you some time to think about that. But let's move on over to the next ability. I'm going to change up the wording on here a little bit by the time this comes out. I am recording this the day before, just because I've been that busy. So some of the wording will be cleaned up a little bit to help out, since there's like a lot of mouthful. We'll steal spell effects, spells, I'm changing some of the wording around to hopefully help out, and so it's, you're not just kind of blah, 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 with some word soup. But it is currently right now. So let's move on over to the 6th level feature, Steal Spell. You can siphon spell energy away from a target and use it for yourself. When you hit a creature with your bites, you can choose to forego dealing damage and instead spend 4 SP to steal a spell or the potential to cast a specific known spell from the target. If the target is willing, you can steal a spell as an action by touching them instead. The target loses 1 spell they know, maximum level equal to your proficiency bonus plus your constitution modifier. The target also loses the ability to cast a stolen spell for 1 minute. If the target knows no spells, this ability has no effect. You can choose which spell to steal, otherwise the GM determines the stolen spell randomly. If you try to steal a spell that isn't available, the stolen spell is determined randomly from among those the target has available. After stealing the spell, you can cast the spell on a subsequent turn. At any one time, you can possess a max number of stolen spell levels equal to your Constitution modifier plus your proficiency bonus. Treat 0-level spells as half levels for this purpose. If you would steal a spell that would cause you to exceed this limit, you can choose to lose stolen spells sufficient to reduce your total to accommodate the newly stolen spell. Otherwise, you don't gain it. You can't apply meta magic effects or other feats to the stolen spell. So that means like if you have like you can total spell level of like 5 and you choose like a 3rd level spell and you have like 3 level 1s, you can drop those 3 level 1s to then get that 3rd level to go up to 5. That's basically the example for it. So let's continue on to absorb spell at 10th level. If you make a successful save against a spell that targets you, you can attempt to absorb the spell energy for later use. This ability affects only spells that target you as the single target. You can't absorb a spell of a higher spell level than you could steal. To absorb a spell, you must succeed on a reactive check against a DC of 8 plus the spell's level plus the caster's spell modifier. Failure indicates that the spell has its normal effect. Success means that you suffer no effect from the spell and can cast the spell later as if you had stolen the spell. At 20th level, you can choose to use the stolen spell energy as a reaction to recast the spell without spending SP. Big thing at 20th level. 14th level, when you steal a spell from a creature, you automatically learn the names of all other spells they know of the same spell level as the stolen spell. This knowledge allows you to better choose which spells to steal on subsequent attacks, now that you are aware of all their other spells that they have. And then you get improved steal spell effect. 14th level, you can steal a spell effect even if the original spell couldn't be cast on you, such as Blade Ward. Now it goes around that. And then you get improved steal spell at 14th level as well. You can apply meta magic feats or other effects to stolen spells you cast. Next up at 18th level, steal resistance. At 18th level, when you hit a creature with your bite, you can choose to forego dealing damage and instead spend 4 SP to steal the target's resistance to an energy type or spell resistance. If the target is willing, you can steal an effect as an action by touching them instead. The target loses the chosen resistance to an energy type or spell resistance for 1 minute. If the resistance is derived from a temporary effect, such as a spell, the stolen resistance disappears when the effect expires. If the target has more than one type of resistance to energy, you can choose which kind to steal. Otherwise, the GM determines the stolen resistance randomly from among those possessed by the target. If you choose to steal a type of resistance that the target doesn't possess, the stolen type of resistance is determined randomly from those possessed by the target. You can use this ability multiple times, but its effects do not stack unless they apply to different types of energy. So that means if you steal like fire resistance and you steal fire resistance again, you're not going to get double fire resistance or anything like that. It'll just be like you'll steal fire resistance, you'll steal acid resistance, you'll steal just straight up magic resistance, stuff like that. So that's basically all of Spell Thief. Quite a mouthful. I'm sure people are going to have lots of questions. I'm sure every other week for the rest of this year, I'm sure I'm going to get some question regarding Spell Thief. I am aware of it, but I did want to add some complex classes to this book for those that are more experienced and really like these kind of complex things. Like I said, I am going to try to adjust the wording on it so it's not, too much word soup and a little easier to understand for the English, especially for those non-native English speakers. It does get a little weird, so I will see what I can do to help out with the wording on it. But that's the Spell Thief, so let's move on over to the next one. This one we have is Spell Striker. Now, this is a class that I am a big fan of. Something quite unique that just came to me in a fever dream. So I wanted to make this a class. So let's give it a read. Spell Strikers are unique spellcasters who have the innate ability to turn Kido into raw, tangible energy and use this power to strike their opponents with precision and force. Spell Strikers engage more directly in combat, channeling their arcane prowess into devastating blows and magical projectiles. The journey is one of relentless training and adaptation, turning traditional magical practices into a dynamic and aggressive combat style. Eldritch Blast. At first level, you learn the Eldritch Blast cantrip. This doesn't count toward the number of cantrips you can learn. Cantrips, 2 cantrips of your choice from the human spell list. Spell casting, you have regular casting, and you are an intelligence-based spellcaster, as through here. Next up, we go to Spell Strike. This is the bread and butter of the class, and really just what makes up this entirety of it. It is quite unique. Starting at first level, when you cast a non-touch, non-spell attack Keto that targets a single creature, instead of the target making a saving throw, you make a ranged spell attack against them. On a successful hit, the target is subjected to the effects of the Keto. For example, instead of hold person, normally, target a creature, make a save, they succeed, doesn't happen. If they fail, it happens. Instead, you make a ranged spell attack, and if you hit them, they are under the effects of the hold person. So it basically changes a lot of spell save spells into spell attacks. Big thing. I'm a big fan of it. I like it. Unique playstyle. A lot of unique different things can happen from it. So that's basically Spell Strike and the bread and butter of the class and what it's all revolved around. So let's continue on. We got Errant Strike. Starting at 6th level, you gain a bonus on ranged spell attacks equal to your intelligence modifier, just to help you out make more attacks and so they land better. Eldritch Blitz. When you reach 10th level, when you use your action to cast a Keto, as a bonus action, you can cast Eldritch Blast. You can do this a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. You regain all expended uses on a long rest. Pretty simple, not too big of a deal, but I like it. Next up, we have multicast at 14th level. When you use your action to cast a Keto, if you made a ranged spell attack for that Keto, you can cast any other Keto as part of the same action. Max spell level equal to your intelligence. That requires a ranged spell attack. At 18th level, you can cast 2 other Keto as part of the same action instead. So this is basically extra attack, but for spellcasters, but they do have to be ranged spell attacks. However, I do want to make this clear with the wording on it. Where is it at? So when you cast a Keto, if you made a ranged spell attack for that Keto, you can cast any other Keto as part of the same action. Max spell level equal to 10. That requires a ranged spell attack. So not something that normally is like you can't do, say you do like hold person from it, and then your second one, when you make a ranged attack, it has to require a ranged spell attack like Firebolt. That already requires a ranged spell attack. Not something else that becomes a ranged spell attack through Spell Strike. I just want to make that clear. As you can see, it says that requires a ranged spell attack. You know, always read these things. I have these things worded a certain way because I want them to be because they are supposed to be done a certain way. I'm very meticulous with my wording as much as I can for reasons like this. So that's multicast. So essentially, extra attack for spellcasters. Next up is Far Strike. Starting at 18th level, you can cast Keto with a range of touch, or that requires a melee spell attack as a ranged spell attack with a range of 10 feet times your intelligence modifier. So starting from 18th level, all your melee stuff then can starts being ranged. So that's basically it for Spell Striker. Fairly simple overall in concept, but a lot of unique applications can be done. It can open up a big range of different kind of playstyles, in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think about it. I like it. I'm a big fan of it, and I love to see what you guys do and certain kind of builds. I'd love to, if there's some broken build, put it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. But that's Spell Striker. So let's move on over. Next up, we have finally Siren, the last bounce archetype. Now, Siren is based off of the bounce, what was her name? Yoshino, one of the main bounce we see. We see her use this ability, like, from what I remember, once she had this, like, singing ability. So I was like, you know what? I'll do something off of that. I'll make a class based off of that. I don't think we ever see her do it again, which was really weird. But yeah, this is basically the inspiration from this. So, sirens were early bounts that lived by the sea and created the myths of the creatures by the same name. These bounts were born with an innate connection to the arcane. Sirens utilize their hunting songs to beguile foes or bolster allies. Same thing with the bounce starting the vampire legend and starting up like Wushu within like my whole little world. They became the same thing with becoming the mist for sirens, with capturing sailors and stealing their souls, which is like eating them. They basically just ate their souls. So that's basically it. So let's continue on. Cantrips, 2 cantrips of your choice. Spell casting, same thing. Charisma, you're a charisma caster. Learn 2 spells, and then you right. The biggest thing, you can only learn enchantment keto. I might get rid of this, but I did want to. I did have this added on here where you're only learning enchantment keto to really play into the effect that you're an enchantress or an enchanter. That's basically the flavor of it, the fluff of it, and what we've seen from it, basically from Yoshino. They're basically just doing enchantment stuff. So let's continue on. Second level, you get Song of Charm. As an action, you can spend 2 SP to cast Charm Person. Simple. Enthralling Charm. At second level, you gain proficiency in Deception and Persuasion. Additionally, when you make a Charisma Persuasion or Charisma Deception check, you can treat a D20 roll of 9 or lower as a 10. Pretty big deal. You'll never roll below 10, basically, whenever you're making Persuasion or Deception checks. Next up, we have 6th level, Song of Hypnosis. As an action, you can spend 6 SP to cast Charm Monster. And then you get Melodic Favor as well. A charmed creature, once per turn, can gain advantage on a saving throw. Similar to like Bardic Inspiration, but for like, Melodic Favor. Next up, we have Enthralling Echoes at 6th level. When you cast an enchantment keto that targets only a single creature, you can target an additional number of targets up to your proficiency bonus. So this really helps out with enchanting to make it a little bit more better. So, it doesn't feel too bad that you're stuck with just enchantment keto. Next up we have is Song of Domination. At 10th level, and as an action, you can cast 7. You spend a 7 SP to cast Dominate Person. And then you get Melodic Courage. Creatures charmed by you can't be frightened. 14th level, we get Song of Subjugation. As an action, you can spend 11 SP to cast Dominate Monster. 14th level, when you cast Keto through your Siren class features, you can spend 2 SP to do so without any somatic or verbal components. 18th level, Unraveling Charm. A creature immune to being charmed can still be charmed by you. Harmonic Power. At 18th level, a creature charmed by you has advantage on attack rolls. Pretty big deal. Pretty simple overall. A lot of different things though. You can do a lot of damage just with a lot of enchantments. Charming creatures like Charm Monster, Dominate Monster. These things can be a big deal if a smart player uses them correctly, and can be devastating to the party if a DM knows how to use them as well. So let me know what you guys think about it. And that is the final thing for the Siren. So now we're moving on over to the armament for the bounce, which is the doll. Now, final thing going over for the bounce is the armaments. We have dolls. Object any, legendary, requires a tune by a doll. Use an object to form a pact with your doll using the object as its seal. So we have 1d6 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels, d8 for 5 levels, d10 for 5 levels, and then d12 for the remaining 5. Doll pact, armament ability, feature, we got Letzer Slag, and we have, what's it called? Where's the other one at? Einer Varden. Verden. Whatever. That should be at 10th level, but it's not on here. I'll change it by the time this book comes out. So let's continue on. Your armament type is dictated by your chosen pact. Your doll level is the same as your bounce level. Armament ability, you gain 2 armament abilities at their level and 2 additional armament abilities at each odd level. We get Lech Slag. At 6th level, you gain an ultimate ability of your choice. At 14th and 18th level, you gain another ultimate ability of your choice. So once you use an ultimate, you gain 2 levels of exhaustion, and you can't do so again until you finish a long rest. Pretty similar to the Fullbringers with their ultimate ability. Moving on over to Einer Varden. Starting from level 10, when you would select an armament ability, one of them can be an ascended ability. While released, you are also considered ascended. Next up, finally, we have doll packs. You call forth your doll and form a pact with it. Choose one of the packs below. Your doll is a sentient weapon. Its alignment is similar to yours with 1 shift of your choice in either ethics, lawful, neutral, chaotic, or morality, good, neutral, or evil. It has mental ability scores dictated by your pact. It has hearing and dark vision out to a range of 30 feet. It has hearing and dark vision. Oh, right. I think I just said that. And the weapon can speak, read, and understand common. You gain additional features from your pact at levels 4, 8, 12, and 16. So first up, we have Pact of the Aegis. Your doll has an intelligence of 10, a wisdom of 18, and a charisma of 14. At first level, your armament type is defense. you gain the shield and shield bash armor and abilities and a 1 augment of your choice. At 4th level, you get Aegis Aura. When you're released, you can spend 2 SP any number of times. Your shield emanates an Aegis Aura in a 5-foot diameter plus 5 feet for each time you spent SP. Each creature you choose within the sphere benefits from its AC bonus as if they were wielding it, so it's just +2 from the shield. Animate Shield. Beginning at 8th level, as a bonus action, you can cause your shield to animate. The shield leaps into the air and hovers in a space adjacent to you. Your shield acts on its own during your turn, but follows your commands. While it's adjacent to you, you're protected by it and benefit from the shield as if you were wielding it. It has a movement speed of 30 feet. It hovers 2 feet off of the ground. So basically like a dancing weapon, but for your shield, you still benefit from it if it's next to you, and you can have it move around and granting its bonus to other creatures and other allies. Next up is Take Cover, starting at 12th level. While holding your shield, you have evasion. You know, the whole thing where you use your shield to block, like a fire breath, whatever. And we see that a lot in different media, and it's kind of weird that we don't really have something like that in D&D. So I thought I wanted to add it on here. I thought it was really cool and a big flavor thing. Next up is Improved Aegis Aura. At 16th level, creatures you choose within your Aegis Aura also benefit from your defense armament abilities as if they were wielding the shield. Big deal. A lot of different ones, a lot of like defense stuff you can give to your allies with it. So a lot of implications with that. Let's move on over to Pact of the Blade. Your doll has an intelligence of 10, a wisdom of 14, and a charisma of 18. At 1st level, your armament type is weapon. You either gain the weapon form or gauntlet form armament ability. At 4th level, you get extra attack. You can attack twice instead of once, and you know extra attack. 8th level, you get Battle Focus. As an action, you can spend 5 SP to give yourself advantage on armament attack rolls until the end of your current turn. When you do so, you gain 5 temporary hit points. The number of temporary hit points increases when you reach certain levels, increasing to 10 at 10th and 15 at 15th. Quick Strike, starting at 12th once per turn. If you take the attack action on your turn and have advantage on attack roll against one of the targets, you can forego the advantage for that roll to make an additional melee armament attack against a target as part of the same action. Next up, we have Die Hard. At 16th level, if you take damage that reduces to 0 hit points and doesn't kill you outright, as a reaction, you can delay falling unconscious and you can immediately take an extra turn, interrupting the current turn. When you have 0 hit points during that extra turn, taking damage causes death saving throws failures as normal, and 3 death saving throw failures can still kill you. When the extra turn ends, you fall unconscious if you still have 0 hit points. Once you use this feature, you can use so again until you finish a long rest. This is a pretty big deal. It was pulled off of the Samurai, and I was a big fan of that ability. Most of the stuff is kind of modeled over the Samurai. It's just like a lot of cool stuff on there that I wanted to add on here and make a little adjustments. But this was a really cool ability, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I wanted to put it onto Pact of the Blade. Next up, we have Pact of the Chain. Your doll has an intelligence of 14, a wisdom of 18, and a charisma of 10. At 1st level, your armament type is Summon. You gain the Summon armament ability and 2 armament abilities of your choice. 4th level, you get Lifelink. Whenever your doll takes damage, if you're within 30 feet of it, you can instead take the damage instead. Additionally, when you take damage as a reaction, you can have your doll take the damage instead if it's within 5 feet of you. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. You regain expended uses on a long rest. Shield Ally. Beginning at 8th level, you can have your doll throw itself in front of an attack directed at another creature that you can see. Before the attack roll is made, you can use your reaction to teleport the doll to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the target creature. The attack roll that triggered the reaction is instead made against your doll. You can use this feature a number of times. You get your PB, regain expended on the long rest. Transposition, bonus action, you can teleport, magically swapping places with your doll at a cost of 15 feet of your movement, regardless of the distance between the two of you. That again. You can teleport, magically swapping places with your doll at a cost of 15 feet of your movement, regardless of the distance between the two of you. Then we get Adaptive Evolution at 12th level. When you finish a long rest, you may choose any number of your summon armament abilities and replace them with any other summon armament abilities you qualify for. Now, make this clear. This is kind of similar to the summon armament ability, but this is more of like a reshuffle. So basically, you choose any number of your summon armament abilities that you currently have, and then you replace those with any other abilities. So you don't reshuffle the ones you currently have, you just choose other ones from what you currently have. So you can't re-choose the same ones and like reshuffle them. You have to choose other ones. So that's the big difference with this one. Next up, at 16th level, as an action, you can fuse with your doll, gaining all of its features and summon abilities. Additionally, while fused, you choose whether you use your summon's physical, strength, dex, con, ability scores, or mental ability scores, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. You can remain in this form for as long as you spend 3 SP at the beginning of your turn. So, there wasn't a lot of clarification on this before. Right. For those who don't know, I posted this up on the Patreon for the patrons to get access to this first, obviously the captains, for people to take a look at it, get some early access to it, give some feedback on it. You know, some people were like, oh, you should add this, you should put this, change this way, and I was able to do that kind of stuff. So I was able to do that and work with a lot of the patrons on this. So if you do want to be part of that for future updates, be sure to join the Patreon. That is a big perk that patrons get. They get early access to stuff like this to play with, to let me know what changes I should make beforehand. And after that, it'll go down the chain for the Patreons, and then it gets added to the public, mainly Discord, for everyone else to look at and give feedback on. So before, synthesis just said you gain your abilities. It didn't say like a duration, what else you get, and all the other stuff. So clarification was added. If any more is needed, let me know. I'll add it. Next up, we have Pact of the Symbiote. Your doll has an intelligence of 14, a wisdom of 18, and a charisma of 10. At first level, your armament type is defense. You gain the armament ability and 1 augment. Symbiote Keto. Starting at first level, you learn Keto when your doll reaches certain levels as shown on the Symbiote Keto table, which you can cast while wearing the symbiote, using it as a spellcasting focus. Each of these Keto counts as a bounce Keto for you. And then these are the Keto. Second level, Arms of Hadar, Jump, Primal Savagery. Fourth level, Acid Arrow, Dark Vision, Hunger of Hadar, Vampiric Touch, Black Tentacles, Blight, Enervation, Telepathic Band. So I don't know if anyone has played God, why am I blanking on the name? Right, Prototype. Blanked on the name so hard. This is like where the inspiration came from, was from that game Prototype. And obviously there's a lot of other stuff similar, like, you know, Venom from Marvel and other stuff, but it was mainly Prototype that really was the inspiration from this. I couldn't do a lot of it from that game just because like I would just blow up this pact. But basically that's like the inspiration, mainly from Prototype and then from Venom and all that stuff. So let's continue on. So spellcasting, Constitution, spellcasting ability, same thing, another Constitution spellcaster, but it's mainly just for these spells. Next up, at 4th level, we get Hunter's Instincts. You add your proficiency bonus to initiative rolls. Additionally, while wearing your doll, you can't be surprised. Feral Metabolism. Starting at 8th level, you're immune to disease and poison. Additionally, while wearing your doll, you have advantage on perception checks relying on smell. Veracity. Starting at 12th level. If you take damage that reduces you to 0 hit points and it doesn't kill you outright, you fall unconscious and your doll takes over your body. It acts on your turn and spends each of its turns attacking or casting Keto at the nearest target or targets. It has HP equal to half of yours and uses your statistics. When your doll is reduced to 0 HP, it becomes sealed, and then of course you continue to fall unconscious. Now, normally I have said this in the Discord before, and I will reiterate this again. In my 10 years of I like playing D&D. I know a lot of people, especially for like anime-based stuff, they're always asking for some kind of berserking kind of ability. Now, in my 10 years of playing D&D, not once has a party member said, wow, that was so much fun when you went berserk and almost killed me. That was fantastic. I can't wait for it to happen again. Not once has anyone ever uttered that. The only person ever having fun when someone's doing like berserk is that one player and the GM, because they get to see them fighting and destroying their own party members, and that's hilarious. But all the other players do not have fun normally. Recently, I just finished a campaign, vanilla D&D, and we did have someone who had a similar feature from that. It was from the Blood Hunter. That was fine because we had someone who was a healer, and it was pretty hilarious, and we all really good friends, so it wasn't a big deal to us, and we had a lot of fun with it, and it was hilarious. And there was like a lot of like thinking and tactics that had to be done with this character who had that ability that, hey, I'm below this HP, I'm gonna start losing and attacking the party members. So that was fun, and they were able to use it to their advantage. So that's really only time where it's okay when the whole group is like tight and they are aware of this and they roleplay around it and they have other builds that accommodate for it. If it's just a bunch of strangers or people that really don't know each other, I guarantee you the only person having fun is the person that's berserking. With all that said, I did put that in here because it's very flavorful. And that's basically it. Yeah. And I also gave it a low amount of HP as well to hopefully, you know, be able to deal with it pretty fast. So that's it. Next up, we have 16th level. We get Predator. While wearing your doll, your size is increased by 1 category. When you make melee attacks, your reach. Why did I mess up this English? When you make melee attacks, your reach is increased by your reach is 5 feet greater than normal. I am reading this and trying to read how it's supposed to be read, and I'm like losing it. I can't Inglando. Anyways, you gain 2 tentacles. As an action, you can use one of them to try to grapple a creature. Each one is also a natural weapon, which you can use to make an unarmed strike. If you hit with it, it takes 1d6 plus your strength. Immediately after hitting, you can try to grapple the target's bonus action. These appendages can't precisely manipulate anything and can't wield weapons, magic items, or other specialized equipment. You just get extra appendages, like, you know, symbiotes, like we see a lot of them for Venom, you know, Prototype. You get all these tentacles to use. You gain a climbing speed equal to your walking speed, and you can't be frightened. So that is the Predator and Pact of the Symbiote. I'm a big fan of it. I really like it. But yeah, that's it. So let's continue on to Pact of the Tomb. This is the final one and one of the beefiest one just because it's a lot of casting. So your doll has an intelligence of 18, a wisdom of 14, and a charisma of 10. At first level, your armored type is Keto or an elemental type of your choice. You gain 2 armored abilities of your choice. When released, your armor transforms into a spellbook known as a grimoire, which contains any Keto you learn. You know 3 cantrips at first level from the spell list. Your grimoire contains 4 first level human Keto of your choice. Intelligence is your spellcasting modifier. You have ritual casting. You learn 2 spells. Copying Keto into your grimoire that you find, kind of like how a wizard would. For those who know it, they already know it. For those who don't know, you can give it a read. You get Arcane Recovery at 4th level as an action. You can regain SP equal to your proficiency bonus plus your intelligence modifier. You can't use this feature again until you finish a short or long rest. Short or long rest. Before it used to just be long rest, but this one is short or long rest. A little bit buff. Arcane Study, beginning at 4th level, your max spell level is increased by 1. Your max spell level increases by 1 again at 12th level. And then you also get Dual Mind at 4th level. Your doll can hold concentration for you. When you cast Keto that requires concentration, you can spend 4 SP to have your doll hold concentration instead of you for the duration of the Keto. At 8th level, this feature also applies to armament abilities you activate. 8th level, you get Eldritch Scribe. You gain the following benefits. The time you must spend to copy Keto into your grimoire is equals 2 minutes per spell level. You can use the book as a spellcasting focus. When you cast Keto's ritual, you can use the Keto's normal casting rather than adding 10 minutes, so basically a free spell. And then Eldritch Scrivener, starting at 12th level. Whenever you finish a long rest, you can create up to 2 magic scrolls by touching a blank piece of paper or parchment and causing Keto from your grimoire to be copied onto them. Each chosen Keto must be 2 levels lower than your max spell level and have a casting time of 1 action. Anyone can cast the Keto from the scrolls by reading it as an action. The Keto uses your spell save DC. The Keto vanishes from the scrolls when you cast or when you finish your next long rest. Next up, we have Eldritch Mind. Beginning at 16th level, you have advantage on intelligence arcana checks as your grimoire helps you remember magical lore. Moreover, if you take damage while released, you can prevent all of the damage to you by using your reaction to roll 3d6. Your grimoire temporarily loses Keto of your choice that have a combined spell level equal to that roll or higher. For example, if the roll's total is 9, Keto vanishes from the grimoire that have a combined level of at least 9, which could mean 1 9th level Keto, 3 3rd level Keto, or some other combination. If there aren't enough Keto in the grimoire to cover this cost, you drop to 0 hit points. Until you finish 1d4 long rest, you're incapable of casting the lost Keto, even if you find them on a scroll or in another spellbook. After you finish the required number of rests, the Keto reappear in the grimoire. Once you use this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest. Pretty big deal. Now, for those who don't know, this is modeled after the scribe for the wizard, wizard subclass. I thought it's really cool in a lot of things that it can do, and the utility it provides but not a lot of combat. So I decided to mix it all into one here with casting and those, you know, also providing other things in addition to its utility that it provides. So that's kind of what it's all based off of, and a lot of buffs to it and additional things added to it. So those are all the packs and the armaments for the doll armament. We've gone over everything. Whew. I am quite winded, and yeah, let me know what you guys think about these packs. I feel like I could have added an additional pack or two maybe, but I didn't want to bloat too much and give a lot right away. I didn't want to give too much out, so like not a lot of people can playtest a lot of the stuff or choose a lot of things. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know which of these packs you find different combinations with the different classes. I know some are more geared towards others. It was meant for that. They were designed that way. But let me know what you guys think about it. I want to hear what you guys, what your thoughts are. Which of these packs seem like your favorite? Which of them seem not as strong? Which of them could probably seem too strong? I would love to hear about it. But that comes to an end for today's updates video. Thank you guys so much for coming back, staying with me, and keeping up with this book. Like I said, I'm constantly doing some updates to it. I do have the schedule now every 3 months, just to give me more time to work on these and make these updates a little bit more better, and also pump out a little bit more content. Right now, we're working on a lot of the stat blocks for the Patreon, and I'm still working on other videos that I want to do, but I only have so much time. I have a full-time job. I would love for this to be my full-time job, which would require people to subscribe to the Patreon and have more videos and views and subscribers for YouTube. That's the only way I can get there. So hopefully you can help me get there. But that's it. Now, I want to go over one thing. Let me pop it up real quick like. Let's see here. Where is it at? Let me go. Where is it at? Can I not? I can't pull up the screen, unfortunately. Whoops. Okay. So I've updated the roadmap. I have checked off BOUNTS. So if you go onto the Discord, you will see that it's been completed. Now, next up is make the book publisher friendly. Now I know I got this. That got the most votes. I believe some of my friends helped me out because they know I've been wanting to do this. But I am gonna make the executive decision to remove that off of the list and go straight to the next one, which is the full bring class update. Now I'm removing making the book publisher friendly because I'm just gonna do that as I'm going through each of these updates, and then at the very end go back and clean up whatever I need to. So for those who don't know, the publisher friendly is I want to make it publisher friendly, so I need to use as much. I need to make sure I'm not using a lot of the words from a lot of D&D content that isn't in the basic rules or whatever gets updated to the open game license that they've done. So like I said, I want to make this. I want to print this book out once it's finished, and I want to have not too many obstacles when I get to that point. And making the book publisher friendly will help with that. That I do foresee that being a hurdle. But like I said, I'm going to remove that. And as I go along with these updates, I will then start doing, I will start making it publisher friendly as I go along. Now, for those who, I know some have asked how, like, is each update, so like the next one would be full bring class update. Would that mean, is that what I'm doing for the next video? Like 3 months from now, that's what you're going to see. And then 3 months from now, you can see add Gemish and Esh Quincy subraces. No, it's just the list that I'm going through them. So as soon as I'm done with the full bringer class updates, and I think it's good, I'll move on to the next one. And if the new video, say 1 month in, and I'm already done with full bring class update, I'll just move on to the next one, and then it'll be added for the next update. And once I'm done with that, I'll continue on. So I'm just going through these. It doesn't mean each of these on the roadmap is like, a 3 months update. No. I go through them, and as soon as I'm done with them, I move on right over to the next one. And that's how it works. But yeah, so I wanted to give everyone an update on the roadmap. But that's it, everybody. Whew. Thank you all so much again for watching this video. I hope you watched all the way through. It really helped me out a lot. Thank you guys so much. Of course, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. It would really help me out. I would love for this to be my job, to be able to do this full time doing D&D. I mean, if this was my full-time job, I would be running like a campaign almost every other day, and that would be fantastic to just be a full-time professional DM. That would be awesome. And then like making videos too, that would be super cool. So help me out with that. I don't know if it'll be possible, but I'm gonna do it anyways. In the meantime, it's just a hobby. If this will be full-time, who knows? It would be super cool for that to happen. Like the video, put a comment down below. I hear in the algorithm that you put, I love the Aesthetic DMs videos. I want to be notified all the time. Apparently it helps manipulate the algorithm. I'd love to see that. If you do want to support me even further, like I said, there is a Patreon. If you do want to get some additional perks, additional stuff, a lot of content is going to be up onto the Patreon. If you checked up on the resources on the Discord, I do have my content schedule that I'm going to be trying to do for the patrons to help out with that. If there's anything else you want to see on the Patreon, other kind of content, let me know. I'll be able to see if I can incorporate that. But with all that said, thank you guys so much. I'll see you all in 3 months with another update video and with other minor updates in between up on the Discord and like Twitter and Patreon. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next time. Have a good night. Goodbye.